Okay. So 1, 2, 3, go.
Alright, good morning. We're going to discuss the website of Anish Kapoor and Bonnie Knoll with you. And the first website we're going to look at is the website of Anish Kapoor. And Anish Kapoor is a sculptor. He was born in India and he now works and lives in London. And you might know him for his work like made the Infinity waterfall and other very big installation art. So this is the website of Anish Kapoor, and I think it's very good to mention that when you, as a first-time viewer, don't know his work or you don't know who he is, and you come on his website, it's very overwhelming. You just have a lot of words that don't make sense, and it's a very like minimalistic approach in one way, but then in the other way it's also a very contemporary approach, and he's a contemporary artist, so it makes kind of sense of what he's doing. So yeah, but then it is gonna.
Yeah, his trackpad. Yeah, it's easier.
I mean, but then as you actually need to experiment with the website a bit because it is in my opinion, it's a very good website. Where you just click works, every work immediately turns red. And then you can just click any work you want basically. So this is all the works he's made in the past, I don't know, probably the year when he started becoming quite famous. So let's just click on Sky Mirror and see what comes up, and then you just get his work Sky Mirror. Then if you go back to the website, you can click on Thought Experiment and everything turns green, so you can see every thought experiment you can go through. And then he has this little bits called Studio, which is quite nice to mention, and you can just look inside his studio, what he does, and I think this is also very based towards people that are interested in his work, because you can literally see inside his art practice, but it's also really towards clients and people that want his work, because you got the process, like you can either buy the process or showcase the process, or you can show his final work. And then I don't know if this is going to work, but let's just see if you refresh this page. It's not happening. It is a Mac, so it should happen, but it doesn't. Oh well.
What happens?
It happens that if you then go back, then the two things you've clicked stay red and green. So you can combine the kind of things that you've clicked on, and then you just know where you left off and where you can.
So it almost records your use of the site.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So and then in his about section, everything turns black that has been ever written about him, like just the articles that I've written about him. So it gets quite yeah. Or like this is the website that has written something about him. So it gets quite personal after you kind of played with the website for a bit. So yeah, that was the visual part for now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Joost just went through, the really visual part. But regarding the commercial part, we can see that this guy is not selling anything in a sense that he has already a status, a really strong one, and he's working through galleries, through exhibitions. He's very famous, probably one of the most famous sculptors in the world, which means that if you don't know him, you have just a really anonymous perception. But if you know him, you don't need anything else. You don't need to buy from this website. You just have lots of references on his name to know him better. In fact, more than a website to sell, to present, it's a personal archive. It's made like, even if it was just for himself, it would have been great. But it has a logical way to explain and to show things also to the public.
Excellent language, logical. Yeah.
The mobile version of the site, of course, works, but it's even messier than the desktop one, the website one, because the amounts of words, of titles, of his works become even more overwhelming in a smaller platform, which is the mobile phone, which means it's definitely not made for a mobile version, even if it works pretty much smoothly. The interesting thing about this website is that it doesn't seem personal, but it actually is so much, because he decided to put just really personal references, and even if it's aesthetically so clean that you can't even tell which kind of personality he is. It makes sense though, because he had done so many works, as you can see from here from the website, that he's not really stick to a certain concept while he's working. He's really open-minded and open to do very different things, working with different materials in different cities, with different size of works, which means you can't give a website to a personality, or maybe you can, but it's even more strict, and it doesn't make sense for a public figure like Anish in this case.
It's a really interesting question to ask, isn't it? You know.
And then what's also interesting is that this website is built for Writing the Corners, which is a company that the main goal of this company while building websites is not to put a personal feeling in a website, is to keep it clear. It's their aim. They say that it's like we like simple design, we want to leave it as free as possible, we want to just keep things as they are. It's not pretentious somehow. You just have the really section that you really need, but there are all the information that you need. So you have just to be patient and interested in to scroll down. Of course, if we show this to somebody who doesn't know him, will stay in the website, I'm sure, no more than 30 seconds. But if you do know him, it will be just a pleasure to go through all his works and what he has done to
Again, it's like an
through his
archive.
career.
He's
definitely
designed
an
it like an archive. Yeah. Well
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
And then go to the London-based illustrator Polly Law, and her website is quite different from that from Anish, also because of course artistic practice is different. But when you look at a website like, well, what you had with Anish, that it was quite overwhelming, all the words coming at you, and you didn't really know what to do or how to act on that website. Oh yeah, sorry. And then where was I? Oh yeah, for Anish it's quite overwhelming, and then when you go to Polly Law's website, when you're on Illustrator, it's quite useful if you like get your images straight away. You like immediately make clear what you do, and Polly Law also stays to a really strict subject in her work, which is a lot about femininity and her being this young female illustrator in like this London society. So when she has like a really strict subject to illustrate about and to talk about, and that gets very clear in the website when you first look at it. It's just the pictures of her work basically, and then you can just scroll down, and then whenever you click on one work, it just says when it's made, April 2017.
And what are the images under? Does it kind of put it in the context of a group? So if you keep scrolling, oh, those are just the rest of the images. Sorry,
like the rest of the images. So it's not really. It's just
fabulous work, isn't it?
And when it's made, and then when you go to about Polly Law, you have a small picture of her in her about page, and then she also explains. About female sexuality and emotional things like that. And then, of course, as an illustrator, it's always that short part, isn't it? Short.
Yeah.
So what we're facing here is a totally different approach, in a sense that she's actually living from this. Now she has reached a certain popularity somehow, but she definitely started from this. She definitely started from her Instagram account, which, by the way, you find the really homepage of the site, and in all the site actually, because they're here up on the left. What's interesting is also there's no CV, just few information. She graduated, and then apparently she started drawing. So that's also a way. Maybe there's a lack of information in this sense of her, what she did in the past before arriving to this point.
Do you think that's deliberate?
Sorry?
Do you think that's deliberate?
I think that is not the point of the website, in the sense that if you know her, you probably won't care much about what she did before, but for what she is right now, because now she's
we also
this.
maybe discussed that she didn't study illustration,
Yeah.
and so she studied something else,
Which
and
is
then if it
really-
doesn't fit with what you're doing now, that you might don't want to put
She
it
could be a
out.
47-year-old truck driver called
Yeah.
Hank, you know, which is...
She has a very strong press section, which of course helps credibility in this case, because if you're just graduated, you've done nothing, there's no CV in, you're basically nobody,
Yeah.
but you have strong references.
Can we
There's
have a look at the press
section,
section again? Because I think it's quite a nice one. Yeah.
and there's lots of magazines who wrote about her. I mean, even important names. So she's famous, pretty much famous. I'm sure somebody in this room has seen her already. And then of course the shop, because she's selling. They're saying she's living from it, and I would say also she's staying well. She's not like starving in the end of the month. Definitely not.
She's paying her rent and feeding her
She's
children.
another different domain, which is just really the shop. It takes you through the website, and here there are kept the same language of the main website. So just pictures. What you got more, you got the price and the title, and those are the works. Of course, she's open to many collaborations, so you see bags, t-shirts, whatever she does. But there's a strong sense. There's a logical thread through all her works, which I think is good. This is mainly what we thought. Thanks.
Okay, brilliant. Round of applause. Well done. Woo! Okay, so we've had our break and our little refresh. Comments, discussion, questions. Do you want to open up one of the sides, because I often find that prompts just either of them. It doesn't matter. See what's in my history. I spent a lot of time on Gumtree. So guys, yeah.
And do you think that putting her business, it looks like her Instagram basically. Like, do you can guess maybe why she decided to make it look like Instagram as well as her page, like so identical? Like just guessing. There's no real.
Okay, I also thought about that, and what I think is that Instagram profile is so strong. So whoever is going to follow her on Instagram is going to take a look to her website as well. What's better about the website? You have better quality of images, you can see it bigger. So I think her main contact is Instagram and not the website. That's what I think. But of course you need a website. So there's a logical connection between them. But it really looks like Instagram instead of the thing that it has 4 squares instead of 3. So it's really logical in this way.
Yeah, I also think that with Anish, like he makes giant site-specific sculptures, and with her it's more also quite a lot of scanned in digital work, so it makes a bit more sense to go with that approach that you choose for like more like a scrolling feed where you can see everything quite quickly, and for Anish it's like really different projects every time.
But I think if you know her work as well, she's changed the dimensions of some of those images. So I don't think she's cropped them. I think she's reframed where they're on a pink background, because I know some of those are portrait and some are landscape, but she's made a decision for the sake of the website to modify the work, which is interesting because some people are really purist and the work will just be almost like a collage of things because they're being very respectful of the original artifact, where she's actually quite happy to modify the artifact to make the website more of a coherent kind of experience. So again, an interesting point.
Then the other thing is that, of course, in a website you keep just the works clean, and in Instagram, it's not that it's something that everybody can do, but she can, as she has a name now, can put something even more personal. So when you get when you're like an icon somehow, I mean not like the best or the highest one, but you have one, you can put something which is also human connected somehow, and not just like works. and it makes sense when you already reach a certain level. So that's what she does in Instagram, but she doesn't do in her website.
But I think that's a really good point, but I think you have to look beyond, guys, being an icon about it as well. It's not just that you're an icon, it's that she knows who she is, and she knows exactly what her craft is. Where you're a young kind of emerging artist, you can be pulled in a couple of different directions. You don't want to stamp that level of identity on yourself because you're not sure yet. You might really want to do this, but you might be actually very commercial and very bankable doing that. And again, she's able to transcend that because her craft is established, her audience is established, she's got a practice. You as a young emerging artist might have to have two different sites. So we're seeing where, you know, that's the dream, that's the ideal, is to represent yourself and your art really faithfully and not think about the commercial side of it because you know the work is commercial. But you're young artists, so it's going to take a while to get there. I think I'd be interested to hear, what are your thoughts about just the idea of the press page? You said, you know, as you can see from the press, she's very famous. Anyone got a comment on any of that? Just generally, how you kind of present your own personal press, or how you'd have a strategy for that? I'm thinking Donald Trump and fake news. It's really easy to develop a press strategy because there are so many small publications, newsletters, zines, blogs. At the moment, I have 3 people hassling me to do an interview. I'm not famous in any way, but I do lots of interviews with people because it helps my profile. Helps my profile as a puppet maker. I'm recognised in the Bristol animation community as somebody of note. I haven't animated for 15 years. I'm a teacher, but I do lots of interviews and lots of blogs because I know how good it is for my profile. And people say, "Oh, she's really famous." I'm famous. I've done bugger all, but I'm good at manipulating the press. I'm good at managing my profile that way. So I think it's worthwhile noting, as I know a little bit about this artist, that she is a complete tart when it comes to the press. So it's not that they're chasing her, it's that she is chasing publications, and she's probably got a press, a person who is, an agent, someone who's actually, or works through a press officer, somebody who's ringing up other companies and saying, "Oh, she's available next Thursday if you want to have an interview with her." And that's, once you start developing that relationship, things like, I've heard her on the radio, and it's some artists don't want to do any of that, but it is incredibly helpful. Comment, anything? Sorry, I'm doing too much talking now. It should be you guys.
I have a question.
Yep.
Do you think it's needed more descriptions below the pictures in the homepage in order to understand more her works, or not really?
That's a good question. Excellent, yeah.
Well, she does explain what her work is about in the About page, and then when you go back to this page, then you can kind of make that link yourself. But I mean, she could also change it up a little bit. That she actually, how do you say that, gives a bit more text in like the first home page, and then that you can directly make that link, or like what I'm looking at and what is she doing and how is she like. And then
Well, I think the nature of her art as well, she kind of wants to leave it open to interpretation, and that's perfectly valid as well.
I think she doesn't need extra text, in a sense that once she has explained the main aim of her works, and then you just scroll down the website, you can see there's a connection between almost all of them. So you definitely don't need any other explanation, I think. And when you have the date when they're made, and you just look through the picture, you see there's a connection. So I definitely don't think there's going to be text. Even if there was, people were not going to read it, because they're artworks that you just feel it, interpret it yourself.
Yeah, there's a kind of a narrative to it. Any other? Excuse me, sorry guys. It's so good, it's making me sneeze. Anybody have any other comments or questions? No, you guys happy? Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Well done. Woo! Woo! And again, 2 very good examples. I think you got sort of almost 2 ends of a spectrum there. Very, very visual and not, but they both work. They both work extremely well. So well done. Okay, and the next team is Sahibok.